Assistant County Attorney on behalf of the state. Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning.
Kent Barker representing Mr. Warner. So,
Okay, thank you. All right, so my understanding is that this is a fully negotiated resolution of the matter before the court.
That is correct, Your Honor. So I'll go over the terms of that with your permission. So on docket number 2023 CR 0018, the defendant will be pleading guilty on charge ID, pleading no contest on charge ID number 1894058C to the crime of simple assault. Sentence to be handed down by the court will be a $1,200 fine with a statutory penalty assessment of $240. $200 of that fine will be suspended for a period of 2 years from today's date. In addition, the defendant has agreed that he will perform 20 hours of community service on this for this crime, and he will provide proof to the state of his performance of that community service by February 4th of 2024. Other conditions of this sentence are the defendant shall notify the local police department in New Hampshire prior to performing at any time for the next 2 years. And those are the terms of this sentence, Your Honor.
Okay, those are terms.
Your Honor, the only thing I'd add is that the community service will be allowed to be performed in California where Mr. Warner resides.
Okay.
State has no objection to that, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, Attorney Lawrence, can you make an offer of proof?
Yes, Your Honor. On the date and time alleged in this, if this case were to go to trial, the state would present evidence that on the date and time in question in the complaint, there was a performance being held at the Bank of New Hampshire Pavilion. Mr. Warner was performing. The victim in this case was a photographer, a videographer who was hired by the Bank of New Hampshire Pavilion and who was on the side of the stage near where Mr. Warner was. He was performing a song, and during that song, at one point he approached the camera and he looked into the lens and he spit at the camera and struck the camera operator with saliva. The state's position was that she had not consented to that behavior and it wasn't with any permission on her part. Subsequently, later in the performance, in the same song, I believe, he then approached the camera again, and this time he expelled matter from his nose at the camera, striking the woman again this time. Those are the facts that are alleged in this case.
Okay. And is the victim in agreement?
Your Honor, the victim, I spoke to the victim prior to agreeing to the terms of this. She told me she did not object to this going forward, although she does have an impact statement that she would like to have read into the record. So I asked our victim advocate to read that into the record.
Okay.
For me, I'm a professional person and I've been in this industry for 30 years. I've worked for a lot of companies, and in all the years I've worked with people, I've never been humiliated or treated the way I was by the defendant. For him to spit on me and blow his nose on me was the most disgusting thing a human being has ever done. I understand this was not a big criminal charge to begin with, but I was hoping that this defendant would receive a sentence that would make him think twice before doing something like this again.
So, Your Honor, we feel that this is an appropriate sentence given the nature of the crime in this case. I understand that Mr. Warner is a person of some fame and notoriety, but in my office I strive to treat all defendants the same, regardless of that sort of thing. And so, given the fact that he's 54 years old, he comes before the court with no prior criminal record of any kind. And obviously this was an act, I believe, of very poor judgment, which clearly showed a great deal of disrespect toward the camera woman who he did this to. And so it is deserving of some punishment, but in this case the defendant will be receiving a criminal conviction. And this is his first criminal conviction ever. He'll have to pay a fine, he'll have to do community service. And we believe that a sentence of this type is similar to how we would treat any other defendant who was similarly situated.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Warren, can you stand up? I'm going to take your plea at this point. Are there any facts, because this is a no contest, that Attorney Barker, you wish to add to the offer of proof?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, Mr. Warner, I have here the acknowledgement and waiver of rights on a Class B misdemeanor. Did you go over that form carefully with Attorney Barker?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and did you understand that form?
Yes.
Do you understand that by entering a plea of no contest that you're giving up certain rights that you have?
Yes.
Okay, do you understand you're giving up the right, because this was a class A misdemeanor, the right to a trial?
Yes.
Okay, and do you understand you're giving up the right to see, hear, and question all witnesses?
Yes.
And do you understand you're giving up the right to present evidence, call witnesses in your favor, and to testify on your behalf?
Yes.
Do you understand if you chose not to testify, the court would have instructed the jury not to draw a negative inference from your silence?
Yes.
And do you understand it would have been the state's burden at trial to prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt with respect to all the elements of the charges?
Yes.
And do you understand you're waiving the right to appeal?
Yes.
And are you entering this plea of your own free will, free from any pressure or anyone forcing you to enter this plea?
Yes.
All right, so on the charge before the court, which docket number?
Ending in, the docket number, Your Honor, is
058C.
The charge ID ends in 8C.
Okay. All right, so on docket number 1894058C, what plea do you wish to enter at this time?
No contest.
The court will accept your no contest plea. The court is entering a finding of guilt. The court finds that the state would have met its burden of proof, and the court will impose the sentence that was outlined by the court at the beginning of the hearing. Did you want to make a statement at all?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. So the court will impose a sentence. The court does overall find, well, this is quite egregious act, that the goals of sentencing have been met with this plea, given the lack of a record and given the charges.
All right, just for the record, Your Honor, I just want to make clear the docket number is, the Superior Court docket number is 2023 CR 0018.
Oh, I read this, okay.
Yep, and the charge ID is 1894058. Thank you.
Okay, very good, okay.
I guess the final thing would be the normal process.
I'll file that after.
Okay, and when will the fine be paid?
In about 5 minutes.
Okay, all right, very good, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, take care.
I was going to just call it because I told you that. They don't have leave.
Am I losing this? Or you want me to-
Yeah.